Hello everybody, welcome back to Dream Teams, another episode where we have a glorious person putting forward their glorious team, and it's a belter, and it's Andy from Let's Talk FPL. Big fan of your channel, mate. I'm delighted to see how well you're doing, mate, and I'm intrigued to see where we go with this and what people think of your team, because I think often you're talking about all different players from all different teams, and I think some people probably don't know about your own kind of, I don't know, loves and desires, and I think that's what a road we're going to go down. But it's been a struggle, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit stressed, to be honest with you, because I was messaging you. I was like, well, is there any criteria? How do I have to pick it? And then I didn't pick any FPL players. Then you messaged me saying, if you've got some FPL players in there, because that would be good. I was like, oh God, okay, change this player.
Yeah.
We won't go into who it was yet, but yeah, because I was thinking like, oh, I've got to go for this kind of formation to fit in these players, but would I really play that formation in the game? So I think formation-wise, it's a little bit dodgy, but
yeah, don't worry about that. It's not on it. For me, I like formation doesn't really matter. Like this idea that this team needs to work, I'm not too bothered about that. I think there's so many options for different places. But for the FPL fans, what is interesting is that I did say to Andy, I said, is there any kind of FPL angle on some of these? You said, no, we're going to stay away from that initially. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you went, well, then I was like, oh, damn, not one. And then there was one name that you took straight away, and he went straight in. So stick around, guys.
He was on the bench.
He was on the bench, but he's made it into the team. Right, let's dive into this, mate. I tell you what, first question, actually, because I think I find this always interesting when people are trying to put together their dream teams is, and we'll see if this plays out this way. What do you look for in a player, just broad strokes, in terms of enjoying a player? Is there something that you think you kind of go to? What does your gut say when I ask you that question?
Yeah, I don't. This is the struggle I had. I don't think there is one thing though. For some positions, it was like, right, that is it. There was no questions. It was always going to be that person. They stuck out in my mind because of either a moment or a way you remember how they played, for example. And some picks were more like just respect for what they did in the game. And although they weren't, like, I'm a Man United fan, but I also didn't want to just put Man United players in. So it was kind of, one club men, like how they played, what kind of, comeback goals, what they've driven their team to kind of do. And so there was different picks with different players for different reasons, really. There wasn't like one thing I would say. Some players stuck out, some I had to think about a little bit more. Okay.
Right, let's dive into it then. We've gone with it's a 4-4-2, but we've got a little diamond in midfield. Am I right? I'm right in saying that, aren't I?
Yeah.
You have chosen a goalkeeper, so it's not that strange of a formation. Who is your goalkeeper and why?
Yeah, so I like I said, I try not to pick like all Man United players, but Peter Schmeichel was the easiest pick, probably the easiest pick on this whole team. Like I remember when I was younger, I used to always
the easiest pick on this whole team.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
fine.
I think
that's
Goalkeeper
okay.
was the easiest pick. Yeah,
you're so nervous, aren't you, that I'm gonna pick apart. I mean, there is a name on here. There's a name on here that I will be going, why have you chosen him? Because I'm not a fan of him. But
okay.
But yeah, so that's interesting. So Schmeichel was the easiest pick for you for your dream team. Why is that?
Yeah, I just think like when you think about standout goalkeepers, like obviously a lot of the picks are also due to age as well. When you grew up, when you first started watching football, and he was just always there. Just I think the game. One of the themes for this team is going to be that the game has changed. And when he played, there wasn't really as much passing out from the back. He didn't have to be good with his feet like Alisson or Edison are now. But he was just a monster at the back. Like you just be like you don't really get scared of goalkeepers. I think players would be scared of someone like Schmeichel. But also when I was a kid, I used to get football shirts were always like my main present that I always wanted. So for my birthday, I'd always get like the new Man United kit. And then for Christmas, I'd always get the goalkeeper shirt. And I always had Schmeichel on the back, which was very costly because the name was so long. And we used to go to this like soccer skills like football thing once a week. It wasn't for a team. Really weird. It wasn't actually to go and play for a team.
Yeah.
It was almost just like training.
Okay.
You'd never actually play a match. And I used to always play in goal as Peter Schmeichel.
Nice.
And he was just such a presence.
Yeah.
Like he would come out and he was just massive. And, forget playing out with your feet. That guy could throw miles. Like
well, that's it. I think that is a theme, isn't it? I think, and people have been talking about it more and more. Like, I saw a thing, and this is a conversation for another time, but someone saying, can't take Alex Ferguson wouldn't be able to deal with the Klopp and Guardiola era. And I was like, oh, are you sure you want to say that? But the problem that every player has once they stop is that the game moves on, right? And so, but Schmeichel's kind of part of that evolution. Like, you talk about the throwing there. That was a weapon, wasn't it? You know,
he's
counter-attack with his, like, what is it, like 50-yard throws or whatever it was. It was something that people weren't really seeing at that time. The starfish, like that were things that people weren't really seeing at that time. And I remember QPR playing Man United at Loftus Road. We did lose 3-2, but Gary Walsh was in goal instead of Peter Schmeichel. And I remember thinking, oh, we've got a chance here. And that's the power. That was the power kind of Peter Schmeichel. He was so intimidating. And I wonder as well with him, do you think he was seen as more... do you think it would have mattered if the other kind of elite goalkeeper wasn't David Seaman, who was quite placid? Do you know, it was those two, wasn't it? And then he was out in front. Schmeichel's always out in front, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think like when you get characters or someone that's like, I would almost class Peter Schmeichel as a bit aggressive. I think that does stand out in your mind when you think about
angry,
players. Wasn't he? And also, like, he was so big, but also quite agile. Like, I can't remember who it was against. I should have really looked it up before we started recording. But basically, the ball was almost on the floor, and he dives down and he fists it over the bar. It was a bit like the England keeper that did it as well.
Rapid Vienna. Is it Rapid Vienna? Was it like a Champions League game? Something like that.
Yeah,
He just flicked it up.
In Europe. Yeah, it was a ridiculous
that.
save. When he's so big to get down like that, he's just... At that time, he as a goalkeeper just had it all. He had it all. Like, obviously nowadays he might have to practice with his feet a little bit, but who cares about that? Back in the day, like, he did exactly what he wanted, and nothing was getting past him. He was and Man United have had some good goalkeepers since. Well, they've had some bad ones. Obviously, Van der Sar was obviously class as well. But Schmeichel just stand out. Such an obvious pick for me, goalkeeper. Susceptible
to the chip would be the only weakness I would say.
Philippe Albert, wasn't it?
I tell you what I'm going to ask you as we go along. How much would he cost in this game? Would you buy him if he's at Man United in FPL? I don't think you wouldn't touch Schmeichel, would you? Because it's Man United.
You don't touch pricey goalkeepers in FPL. That's the thing. So you'd never get in. Ever.
That's it. Yeah. True. Right, we move on to your right back. We're going straight to the modern day, and tell us who you've picked.
Yeah, a few modern day picks, few old picks. I've picked Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I think if we're talking about how the game has changed now with fullbacks, I think he kind of almost just personifies it a little bit. I just think if you've got someone at right back, like, I watch him play, if you've got someone that can pass, like Kevin De Bruyne at right back, like, that is just such a weapon. And I know people talk about his defensive frailties, but I think people over-exaggerate how bad he is as a defender. And I think what Klopp wants him to do in that team is a lot different to what Wan-Bissaka has to do for Man United. Wan-Bissaka isn't there to be creative. He isn't there to put the ball on a plate at any point in the game. And so I think it does get over-exaggerated about how bad he is. I mean, if you ask me, would I have him in the England team, then that is a difficult question, because I think Reece James is also very, very good and possibly is a little bit of a better defender. And maybe we need that eventually. Like, Kyle Walker's not going to be around forever. But I just watch him play, and he is just a generational talent. There's no one like him on the ball from that right back position, and that is why he's always so far forward. That's why he doesn't play as a midfielder for Liverpool, but obviously gets into those positions as a midfielder. Like, he comes inside, and I just no one can do what he can do from right back. It's ridiculous.
It's interesting you bring up you have Alexander-Arnold, because Paul Machin was on the last episode of Dream Teams and obviously put Alexander-Arnold in his team, and we spoke about him. And Wan-Bissaka was the comparison that was brought up there as well, which is interesting. And he was kind of saying that it's just, you know, there are 6 and 7 out of 10 right backs in this world, and then there's an Alexander-Arnold who, like, and he said, which is interesting to get a different perspective, is that he was speaking about England fans don't get that the Liverpool side is kind of built to, facilitate him. You know, club football is better. It's more, the chemistry of those teams is more ingrained. So you need players that are, I don't know. Well, he actually didn't talk about what kind of players that you need, but he said that's where he comes unstuck maybe a little bit, and urged him to retire immediately, which I don't really want. But I do think it's interesting. There's no doubt he's glorious. But it's going to be interesting to see how his England career progresses, because the argument will be with him is that if he is playing in a team, and there's no doubt that he's world class, but the team suits him completely. If he ever goes, if he ever was to leave Liverpool, which I'd be amazed by, but if he were ever to leave Liverpool and kind of start again somewhere else, would he be afforded a squad that's as tactically suited to him? And would that make us look at him different? What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, like he is like it's not obviously the Liverpool team is not built around him, but the whole tactic is built around what he can do from that right back position. Like Robertson is also very attacking, but not in the same way. Like Trent can kind of do it from deep, but yeah, one of the reasons he's not in the England team is because I think Southgate is probably worried that he'd be exposed. So that is the same as putting him into a different Premier League team. I guess you'd have to kind of build around that. Like he does, whoever plays on that right-hand side of midfield for Liverpool, obviously they have the three, has to sometimes do a bit of covering work there. That's just part of how it works. And that's why Southgate's so probably against, because he's not going to track back. Like, obviously, when we played in the Euros, most of the attacking outlet came from the left because Kyle Walker then did the defensive job. Whereas I think you'd probably have to change that a little bit if Trent came into the team, which is why I do think long term, I think Reece James has got a better chance of getting that right back spot than Trent. And it's unfortunate because I feel like when you've got players like him and Foden and Grealish, I love Gareth Southgate and what he's done for England. I really do. But at some point, you've probably got to figure out how you get them in the team and like give it a go. Yeah. I think that's it. That was the point I was going to make, is that he's being hurt by two things. One, Luke Shaw and what he can offer going forward, and what was seen from Man United last season, even more so this season, how high up he goes, and then actually more so just the fact that Southgate is defensive. And I think that's where he wants that security, doesn't he? And that hurts him. But we can't. This can't be a kind of. There's a load of players from the 90s that like Robbie Fowler. Like, I always think, like, how did he not have more caps? Like, do you know what I mean? There's so many players like that, and I don't want that to be Alexander Arnold. Like, so it needs to. I don't know how you can find a way, but I understand why he's in your team. Would you have him? Do you have him? Presume you do. No. In FPL.
In FPL, yeah.
I don't, but that's only because he's injured. As soon as he's fit, he'll be back. He's the best player in the game. Yeah, he's a defender.
Oh yeah, he's in my team. Centre backs. One I understand, one I don't. Let's go with the one that I understand. Give us your first centre back.
Yeah, so I guess the one that you understand is Jaap Stam, I assume, right? Yeah, Man United fan. So when I grew up, he's probably one of the first centre backs that I really remember. I think a lot of people my age would probably just go straight to Vidic or Ferdinand. But when I think of my favourite centre back at Man United, Jaap Stam is always the one that comes to mind. Even though he was only there from I think it was 98 to 2001, it's like 3 years or something, very small amount of time. And Ferguson didn't make many mistakes, but even he's admitted that was a mistake to let him go. I just feel like he had. I think if I could compare him to someone from this day, like playing right now, it'd probably be Van Dijk. Now, I don't remember. Like back then, I was too young. I don't remember what he was like with his feet and all that stuff. But he was so big, but so quick. Like no one would get past him. He wasn't afraid to get a tackle. I felt like he was like our Roy Keane in defence. Like he was just that kind of like monster. Again, a bit like Schmeichel. Like you just didn't ever want to have to try and get past him. And if you did, he would keep up. He would get back in time. And I was gutted when he left. And obviously he was there for the Champions League final as well in '99. And I just like Vidic was great. Ferdinand was great for kind of different reasons. Like Vidic was very like, I don't know, typical centre-back, always try and get his head on everything, etc. And he was a brilliant defender for Man United. But Jaap Stam was always the one I think about when I think about Man United defenders. And he was incredible. Yeah,
he sort of, I think I'm starting to see a theme here. I'm going to keep quiet for now, but I feel like I'm seeing a theme, which we see in every dream team. How many games did he play for Man United? I've got 79. Just the one goal. Disappointing.
Yeah, but you know where the goals are coming at centre-back position in a second, don't you?
True. Went to Lazio, did well at Milan as well. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Yeah, you think of him, went straight to Milan. He didn't. He went to Lazio first. 70 games at Lazio as well. Then 42 games for AC Milan. Yeah, really didn't score many goals at all. Crazy. Because he scored 12
Didn't
goals.
let many go past either. That's
Great point. He was a wall, wasn't he? And do you know what I think is interesting with some of these? And I guess it comes with the way that media changes, is that before like phones and all that stuff, there are certain images that are obviously captured within a game, and that gets like imprinted on you. And because there aren't any other images for you to have, as time progresses, it almost needs to be something that goes viral for us to remember it a little bit. You know, for example, Lionel Messi snapping Boateng's ankles when he does that, right? Because everyone just went, oh my God, what's just happened here? With Jaap Stam, it was Zamorano. It was the Inter Milan game where I think Zamorano's trying to like walk backwards onto Jaap Stam. And Jaap Stam's just like standing still and he's just trying, this like 5'9" guy, giving it a go. An absolute waste of time, because Jaap Stam was just like frightening. He was a rock. He was like, I feel like he was made of stone. Like that's when I think he
was, but he could also, he also moved like he was just like this most agile player. He was just fantastic. Like, if I could have someone now in the Man United backline, it would definitely be. I would still have him now. Like, he was just that good.
Yeah.
And obviously, he was there for the Champions League. So I mean, I think he got the Premier League, Champions League, and maybe FA Cup as well. Like, it was a short stint, but he kind of did it all, and it was a mistake letting him go.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, we had some great centre backs since, but yeah, there wasn't much he couldn't do. I love the guy.
True. Right, let's get this out of the way. What on earth is this bit? What are you doing here? And why is he? And when did he get into your? Was it an easy choice? Go on, give us your other centre back. I'll try not to be like. I've got to critique somewhat, but this is your team. This is your team. So like, don't be ashamed of your team. Go for it.
No, there's some picks I struggled with, right? And the second centre back was one. I was thinking, like, does anyone just stand out? I don't want to put another Man United player in here. I don't want to go too modern. I've already got Trent, so I can't put Van Dijk in either. And here's the reason why I put Sergio Ramos in, right? And it's probably for the same reason you don't want him in there. It's because I hate him. I hate the guy. Him and Pepe, I absolutely hate. You never want to come up against him and Pepe, because not only are they brilliant defenders, but they're going to do all the dirty work, and they're the type of player. Sergio Ramos is the type of player you do not want to face, but you want him in your team. That is why he's in, because he'll give that player a dig. He'll wind them up to get themselves, I don't know, sent off, worked up, not playing as well. And also, goals, ridiculous. You were saying about Jaap Stam not scoring a goal. He's got 104 in 1,716 appearances. That's crazy. So this is more like, he doesn't mean something to me as in, I love the guy.
Yeah,
it's more that I hate the guy.
Right,
he's in, which I know is a ridiculous reason, but I did struggle with a couple of picks. But also, he just comes up clutch as well. I once put a bet on him 8-1 to score any time in the Champions League final. Free bet, 50 quid. He scores in the 15th minute against Atletico Madrid, and then he goes on to score a penalty in the shootout. The guy, he's just incredible. I think like some of these picks in here are just respect, and I think Ramos in my generation is one of the greatest defenders ever. He could do absolutely everything. Great in the air, good on the ball. And I think sometimes you need those players that are going to wind the opposition up, that you hate, but if they were in your team, you'd absolutely love them. Yeah. And that is Sergio Ramos to a T.
I get that. I mean, look, he's won it all. He's won it all. And when I say he's won it all, he's won it all. He's won it all. He's won it all. It's crazy. 180 games. Is that right? 23 goals for Spain. That's crazy.
He's a monster in the air, yeah. And I think he started off as a right back as well, and then moved centre back.
That can't be right, can it? 180 games for Spain.
He's a monster.
For Spain. Yeah, all right. I can't look. Elite mentality. Like never a drop of doubt in his ability. Like to a point where I wonder if I would enjoy his company. But I look forward to the day where that occurs. Yeah, no doubt a great player. He wouldn't be in my team, let's put it that way. He's the youngest player to ever reach 100 caps for Spain. I'm just reading here. So, yeah, all right. Okay. Interesting. Let us know in the comments, how do we feel about this one? And also... Sorry, wait,
I'm not massively happy about it myself, but there wasn't really any other centre-backs that sprung to mind as I love this guy. Okay. And I hate him. That's why
I like random picks. This is great. But what I would like to know is, how do you feel about Sergio Ramos in the comments? But also put in brackets your team. Because I think a Man United fan feels a little bit better or more okay with this than certainly a Liverpool fan would do. And so it'd be interesting to know if there are any Liverpool fans who just love Sergio Ramos. I'll be fascinated to see that. Left back, love this. Go for it.
Yeah, I've gone for Roberto Carlos again. Try not to pick too. I think Ashley Cole can feel a little bit aggrieved of being left out because I think he was like just always like probably an 8 out of 10 player in pretty much every game he played. But again, a bit like Man United, I don't want to put loads of English players in. I think Roberto Carlos is when I first kind of recognised the fullbacks weren't just for defending. Like, I was kind of that age. I think he was at Real Madrid from 96 to 2007. So that's kind of around the time I'm starting to watch a bit more football.
Sure.
And back at that age, like even now to a certain extent, I'm mostly watching the Premier League, not watching a huge amount. I'm definitely not watching La Liga, and I'm only watching a bit of Champions League as well, outside of Man United games. But you still knew about Roberto Carlos. It didn't matter if you didn't watch the games; you knew about him, and he was such a monster going forward. That's kind of it's. I'm not necessarily saying that's when fullbacks changed to going forward, but it's the first time I recognised that players did that.
Yeah.
And like the amount of goals he scored was crazy. Plus, he's a Brazilian. I feel like I had to have a Brazilian in here somewhere as well.
Yeah, nice.
But just so much swagger from left back. I know he played left wing back sometimes as well. So I love watching him play. And obviously, he got the iconic moment with the free kick as well, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, that's kind of why he's in. First time I ever really recognised a fullback that went forward a lot as well.
Yeah,
great
again, I agree with you. Like at that time, you were only knowing about him from. What was it, Le Tournoi, that goal, and then like a couple of other like crazy goals that you would somehow see somewhere where he scored from, a silly angle, whatever it might be. Incredible like firepower as a player, amazing career, won it all as well. And actually, just to go back for a second, Ramos and Carlos we can't do, but Jaap Stam, are you buying him, and how much would he cost in today's game?
Yeah, the thing is, I wouldn't buy him. Like you said, he hasn't scored enough goals, so he'd be priced as a Man United fan and not enough goals. Ramos would definitely. I think Ramos took penalties as well at some point. He'd definitely be in your team.
Yeah, he would.
And Carlos as well, for sure.
Carlos, you get him in there as well, gallivanting like he does, and he jumped on free kicks. I do feel like he sometimes got, some players have scored a worldie free kick once from distance, and therefore they seem to get to take more free kicks than they probably should. I feel like Carlos, there might be an element of that, but maybe that's blasphemy. I don't know. Let's move into midfield. Go through.
I think you're right, but I think Cristiano Ronaldo is the perfect example of that. Like scores a couple of worldies, but
David Luiz.
Like I've got a free kick taker in it though, so we're good.
Yeah, okay. All right, you're set. You got everything covered. This is great. All right, we're moving to midfield, and okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to ask first. So there's a few Man United players in here, but what I am going to ask is there's two that miss out, actually, thinking about it now. But one Man United player that misses out is Paul Scholes. Why is Paul Scholes not in this team?
I am going to get slaughtered for one of these picks in a minute because I haven't put Paul Scholes in. Do you know what it is, right? If I'm being completely honest, like
there's too many, so you have to find a way. So it's
but also, I think how I watch football now is completely different to how I watched it when I was a kid. Like, I would appreciate someone like Paul Scholes now. I didn't appreciate him like I would if he played now, if that makes sense. Like, I now know how good he is or was. And the Barcelona semi-final goal stands out in my mind as soon as I think about it. And you've got the goals from the corners from Beckham teeing them up on I think one was against Bradford possibly and one against Villa. I might have that wrong. And so he's obviously a brilliant player. And I didn't know he was good back then, but I think what he did is just something you don't notice as a kid. And I had to leave one Man United player out somewhere. And so Scholes is the one I left out. And the non-Man United player that I put in is so controversial when I tell you why he's in. And
well, should we do it? Let's go then. Do you want to go to that first, or do you want to go elsewhere?
Let's get it over with.
Go on then. Off you go.
So I put Steven Gerrard in. Now, I will say, I am a Man United fan who wasn't born in Manchester, who lived in the southwest of England all my life, right? Classic glory fan, whatever you want to call me. And I know we're supposed to hate Liverpool, but when I grew up, it was Arsenal we all hated because Arsenal were good and Liverpool weren't. So we didn't like Liverpool, but it wasn't the same as Arsenal, right? Like now, where I live in Ireland, you see kids in the street in Man City shirts. You never saw that when I was growing up. You never see a Man City shirt anywhere. So we all hated Arsenal. And Here's the most controversial thing I'm going to say on this video. Forget about Ramos. You know the season where he slipped?
Yeah.
I wish he'd won the Premier League that season because he is one of the greatest players to ever play in the Premier League. He is everything you want from a player. He is born in Liverpool. He stays at Liverpool. I know he played for LA Galaxy, but he pretty much stays at Liverpool the whole time. I know there was the Chelsea incident when he nearly went, but he stays at his club. He pulls him back. He was man of the match in Istanbul. He scored the goal. I read that he actually gave a speech during halftime. I don't know how, you never know how real those stories are, but apparently he did, according to Cisse. And that, like, I feel like sometimes now he's tarnished by opposition fans because he didn't win the Premier League and he deserved to win it. And like Man United fans can say, well, it would have been rubbish if Liverpool won. I mean, Man City won, so who cares? You know, it's just as bad, right? Man City winning the league or Liverpool, who really cares? So they've won it now anyway. So I wish he'd won the league because I just think he was that good of a player. And the amount of times like he pulled Liverpool out of trouble, it's the kind of player you want in your dream team. So again, it's not that I love him. Like obviously I wouldn't say he did anything that exciting for England really that springs to mind, but I just love what he did, and I respect that as an opposition fan. So I know saying that he wins I wish he'd won the Premier League is controversial, but I feel like that's the only thing people have against him. That's it. He's done everything else.
I have nothing
From
to
a
add.
club perspective.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I think that's a great summary of a great player. Yeah, happy to move on. You're completely right. And obviously, I'm not a Man United fan. I'm desperate for him to win it. Absolutely desperate for him to win it. It was heartbreaking that he didn't. And it's so sad that there's that stick there that people use against him. But yeah, no doubt he's a joke of a footballer. So we've got sorry, go for it.
I watched his interview actually just before we came on after the Istanbul game, and he said he mentioned the fans and he said they've saved up for weeks and weeks. I'm so glad we could win it for him. I just thought like that was like a really nice like post-match interview. He's probably adrenaline's absolutely rushing. He's still thinking about the fans, and he's not perfect. And look, leaving out Scholes was hard, but I couldn't just have a midfielder Man United. So he's in. Let me know how bad that is, I guess. Everyone's going to hate that pick.
I think you're right. I think it's interesting. Right, so we've got a diamond midfield here. So we've is Gerrard, of your diamond, is Gerrard you got him on the left, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, the two central midfielders, there's a bit of, I don't know how much work they're going to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of stamina there. There's a lot of stamina there. Let's go back then a little bit to who's at the base of this diamond. Who have you gone for?
Yeah, I think it has to be Roy Keane. Again, like it could have been like any of the, like Makelele came to mind. I think when I was like younger, the Makelele role it was called, wasn't it? And when you've got a role named after you, you've probably done a pretty good job, but it didn't really excite me. Busquets, it's just not an exciting role at all, is it? The DM, like you appreciate it, you appreciate what they do, but you don't really care about them that much. And Roy Keane is just, again, I was saying how obviously Jaap sounds like the Roy Keane of defence. Well, you've got Keane himself there, and he was box to box. He could sit deep, he could play a pass, tackle. He was aggressive. Like you just remember all those games again, and obviously it's stuck in the memory because you get it replayed on Sky all the time. But you know the games against Arsenal, he just doesn't. He's not taking anything from anyone. And like again, if you need someone to kind of bring your team back from losing or whatever, the goal against Juventus, it's just. He was an incredible player. Love the guy. And I think that's perfect position for him in this team.
Yeah.
Work rate like no one else.
I'm going to reveal what I think your theme is here. And you can tell me if I'm talking nonsense. I feel like your theme is kind of intimidation. It's like mental strength. It's like who is like indestructible. Like you see that Schmeichel, Stam, Ramos, Keane. We've got a few more to come as well. Like players that are, some people kind of take in stuff. Other people just go and take it. And I feel like a lot of the players that you've got in this team are kind of, I don't know, go down that road quite a bit. Keane's a great example.
It's a bit cliche because it's something like, because I think Roy Keane is a pundit. Like I like him, but I don't know if he's really that good as a pundit, but he's fun to watch, isn't he?
Yeah.
I feel like this is something that he would say though, but there's a lot of leaders in that team, like through the middle. You've got Ramos, Stam, Schmeichel and Keane. And also the work rate of those players, especially Gerrard's work rate was pretty good. Keane obviously was brilliant. that allows you Carlos and Trent going forward, you see.
There's a fluidity to this midfield that I enjoy actually as well. And I think you've got Keane can still be box to box, I think he can get on because there are other players who could sit at the base of that midfield and get on the ball, Gerrard being one, and your other player on the right hand side of your diamond. But as I say, I think it'd be quite fluid. Probably not playing in his normal position. But I'm intrigued why you picked him. You picked, I'll reveal it, David Beckham on the right side of your diamond. Forget the formation for a second. I guess just focus on the player. Like, it's someone that I think of a certain age, we were all just a little bit obsessed with David Beckham. What did you love most about him?
But when he played for Man United, I don't think I really truly respected how good he was. It was almost only when he left. And to be honest, right, for Beckham, when I kind of realised how good he was or how much I loved him, was actually his England performances rather than Man United. Yeah. Like, I know, like, again, a bit like Scholes, I now know how good Beckham was for Man United. And obviously, I've seen like the free kicks and stuff. Obviously, he was on the corners for Champions League. Like, we know how good he was at putting a ball in. But when I was that age, like quite young, like Champions League, I was probably in like 12 or 13. I'd be like, yeah, he can cross a ball, but what else can he do? That would probably be my attitude towards him. But then for England, I think after the red card incident and stuff like that, especially when he was made captain, I don't think anyone just worked harder than him. But he was still just brilliant on the ball. Like, if you needed someone in a clutch situation, it was him to either play across in, to take a free kick. And he, again, I've said this a few times now, he could do everything, but he could score goals. And like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone play a pass like David Beckham. Even now, like, Trent's brilliant, De Bruyne is brilliant in the Premier League, but David Beckham is just a level above. And the amount of like whipped balls around a defender straight into the box, it's just, I've never seen someone do it like that. And obviously some great moments as well. The Greece goal stands out. I remember watching that in my bedroom, mum and dad's house, like, and just erupting when he scored. And he did play central midfield for England a little bit towards the end, and he was pretty good at it as well. So yeah, that's why he's in. Kind of to get the next player in, I had to go diamond, really. He's
quite unique, isn't he, in terms of his playing style actually as well. And it's interesting, a lot of these players have like different phases of their career. Like Keane, you think of, there's two players there really when you're talking about him. Scholes, we were chatting about, there's two players there when you think about them. Beckham a little bit as well, where he kind of, that it became, I think what happened is he had so much stamina, he never really had pace, but he just had a laser of a right foot. And he was good with his left foot, but the goals that he scored were often goals that I don't think anyone else could score. Like, one that comes to mind is the 99 season where Beckham scores against Spurs, and I think they might have been 1-0 down at the time, and he gets the equaliser. The shot is just like, it's not even a shot that I think most people would even think of, but he has that capability with that foot, and he struck the ball so uniquely that he's able to score goals like that. It's crazy. Yeah, very, very good player.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you said. Is he didn't necessarily, like, he was a winger, obviously, but he wasn't like an out and out going to, like Ryan Giggs on the other side. He'd try and beat someone for pace and get into a better position. Beckham didn't necessarily need to do that. If he couldn't get past him, he would just play the ball in anyway, or just play it round him. And I think when he came to the end of his career, and he not the end of his career, but like towards like end of the England days, he was able to play that deeper role because he could just play a pass from anywhere. Yeah. And his range of passing was just insane. So I had to have him in, but never appreciated him when he was at Man United. I don't think, not enough anyway.
Yeah. I think there's a confusion to that where it's like, well, the ball got there. You go, yeah, but you were standing over there. Yeah, well, but the ball got to the 6-yard line, and Dwight Yorke scored another goal. So shut up. Like that. I think that was his problem. Right, this is interesting. You're attacking midfielder. Go for it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm almost playing him out of position, but I definitely know he could play it. It's Wayne Rooney. I had to fit him in, but I wanted to get a couple of other strikers in as well. So I've kind of butchered things a little bit. But there was obviously that season with Tevez and Ronaldo was very fluid in how they played. It wasn't just a straight formation. Like, they would drift left, drift right, and play through the centre. Like, Rooney probably is my favourite ever Man United player. Like, we're around the same age. We've had similar trajectories. You know, I watched him when I was at uni and then quit and racked up a load of student debt. And, you know, he's gone on to be one of the greatest footballers of all time. So similar trajectories. But yeah, I mean, when he came to Man United, like, I remember I was at uni and he had the debut against Fenerbahce in the Champions League. And there was a girl opposite in the in the place we were staying, and she was an Arsenal spot. I remember her saying before the game, waste of money. And then I remember after the game, he scored the hat trick, and she just walked out of her room, and I just had this big smile on my face, just like, yeah, he was worth every penny. And I know it's like such a cliche thing to say, but I do think now, just because Messi and Ronaldo are so good, I think sometimes we forget about just how good some of the other players were, like Rooney, Zidane, Ronaldinho, and players like that. Like, yes, okay, maybe they weren't at this elite, out of this world kind of level, which we may not see again for a long time. But Rooney, especially when he first burst onto the scene, both for Man United and England, like Euro 2004 as well, for example, like when he got injured, that was just a nightmare. I remember watching that with my mates down the pub. He was just such a breath of fresh air. Like, he was so quick, and he could get past anyone, and he could score, and he was so consistent for years and years. Like, I know everyone compares like the fact that he's younger than Ronaldo and Ronaldo's still doing it, but he was as good as anyone when he first came onto the scene at Man United. He really was.
Because Tevez and Ronaldo's not in your team, Cristiano Ronaldo. That's the problem. When you're a Man United fan, there's too many players. You've got too many options there. I'm intrigued. Why Rooney over those guys? Is it a patriotic thing, or is it just that he kind of burst on the scene? You're like, wow, who is this guy gonna bring England a trophy or whatever it is, or Man United, whatever it was? Like, what was it?
Yeah, I think Ronaldo's a hard one, because I think I could have maybe overthought this team a little bit and just thought, well, Messi and Ronaldo is just so obvious, isn't it? I mean, Ronaldo in particular was a Man United player, so maybe I could have got him in, and maybe he should be in the team. I think Rooney just, like, Ronaldo had to kind of build up to where he got to at Man United. Rooney was just like there from the start, and maybe it is a bit with the England thing, because I do love watching England. Like, international tournaments for me are like the thing I love watching the most. But yeah, I don't know. I remember, again, I was young and naive. I was really frustrated with Ronaldo when he first came on, because it was just all the step overs, and you felt like he just wasn't going to get anywhere. And he was amazing by the time he left. But I just felt, I don't know, Rooney was just there for quite a bit longer. Yeah. And he right from the off, he was just brilliant. And maybe it is because he's English, possibly, subconsciously. But yeah, I think I would have him in ahead of Ronaldo. Obviously, the top of Ronaldo's game, he's better than Rooney. But at Man United, I don't know if there was that much of a gap, really. Not at that time, anyway. Well,
I mean, Rooney's got the record, hasn't he, for goals, England and Man United, which obviously gets forgotten a lot of the time. Right, we move on to, there was a last-minute change. As I said at the start of this, we chucked in an FPL player. It was demanded. It was like, okay, swap, quick, straight off the top of his head, which I think's right. These should be gut calls. The first one, we'll come to that in a second. We'll finish off with that one. The first one, I love this shout. Didn't expect it. And again, I think suits this theme that I'm kind of ramming down your throat, Andy, that it's about people that don't sit and take stuff. They go and take it for themselves. Tell us about your striker.
And also you've got David Beckham playing balls in behind. I mean, if you want someone with good movement to run onto those passes, then you need Jamie Vardy. So this is it, because you messaged me about 2 or 3 weeks ago asking me if I wanted to come on, and about a week or so before that, I go for a walk with my dog every morning, and I don't know why he came to my mind. I was just like, I just love Jamie Vardy. I just love him. Yeah. Like, it's everything. It's the story. Like he's 34 now, and 10 years ago he's playing for Fleetwood Town. I mean, how many players that are playing for Fleetwood Town right now in 10 years will have won the Premier League? So first of all, you've got the story, and then you've got the cliches about every club needs a 20-goal a season striker. Right? It's such a cliche. But he's done it 3 times in the last 6 seasons. He didn't do it last year, but he got 14 assists. Like, he's still going at 34. I keep talking about FPL, I remember mentioning pre-season, maybe this is the season when he starts slowing down. I think he's already scored like 5 or 6 goals. Yeah. I don't think he's had a penalty yet either. So it's the story, but also, like, I love watching him play, because he will wind up the opposition fans. He'll go and celebrate in front of them. And again, you hate that when they do it to your fans, but you want that player in your club. A bit like Ramos, right? He would wind people up. The thing that sticks out for me in recent times is the FA Cup final. So he doesn't score the goal. There's about 4 or 5 minutes to go. And you're thinking, like, Leicester fans, this is huge, right? The tension is building. All the other players, I'm sure, like, there's tension in the legs. Like, they don't want to be the one that makes a mistake. And I can't remember what happened, whether he missed the shot or the ball just went out. And he's there. He's just smiling. Like, he's not worried about tracking back necessarily or what's about to happen next. He's just enjoying the moment. And I think a lot of footballers, especially now, because they get such money and stuff from a young age, I feel like he just knows how good he's got it and he's enjoying every second of it. And he's still brilliant at 34 years old. Like, he's still first choice for Leicester. And yeah, it's the story, but also his attitude when he plays. And also he's just very good, right? He has to go down as, one of the best. The fact that he's won the Premier League for Leicester is just such a mad story.
Yeah.
And obviously he got the record, didn't he, for scoring goals in a row. So I just love him. I just love Jamie Vardy.
I love it. I think it's such a good shout. I saw a tweet the other day, and I don't know why it had a lot of replies, and I was thinking, why has this even got a lot of replies? It's not really a question. I can't remember who tweeted it, but they said, would you rather have Harry Kane's career or Jamie Vardy's career?
Oh, I saw that last night. Yeah,
and
what a question.
But is it a question? Like, it's not a question, is it? Harry Kane's won nothing, and Jamie Vardy's won 2 things. And what I always think is so much more important, and I know this is probably coming through QPR tinted glasses, is that winning again and again and again and again, it's, you become desensitized to that stuff. Surely, it's like hunger. If you've not eaten for a while.
I completely agree with you.
So with Jamie Vardy to have the career that he's had, and then, but to do what he's done for Leicester City and for Leicester City in terms of winning the Premier League and then winning the FA Cup, it's unbelievable. He walks away with such a smile on his face, and I don't think he's walking away anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing when he's 40, because why wouldn't he? He went all the way up. He might as well take his time. He could go into the Championship at 42, play for someone, and he's still banging the goals. He would.
Well, the thing that he's got that's maybe players like, Rooney's probably a bad example because he did it for so long as well, but at quite a high level. But he, obviously, because of the teams he's played for, and because it took so long for Leicester to get where they are, he's not had to worry about the European games and stuff like that. He's never really played too many games for England either. So he's just had this club level, a lot of the times 1 game a week, especially when you're in the Premier League. So that's probably where a bit of this longevity comes into it. But on the winning, I agree. Like when Man City first won that Premier League, when Aguero scores that goal, that is just elation. But this season, they'll probably run away with it again. It's not as exciting. Like, even for a Man City fan, they might tell you it is, but I don't think the celebrations when they win the first one versus now is probably the same. It just how can it feel the same? Like, yeah, we got the best squad, we got the best manager. Yeah, we're going to run away with it. Let's do it all again next season. Jamie Vardy winning the Premier League is just, what a story.
Yeah,
I love the guy. I really do.
I agree. I think it's a great shout. Unbelievable career. Unbelievable goal scoring record. So consistent. And Joe, I'll ask the guys in the comments, right? Harry Kane's career, and I'll add some bits on, right? Harry Kane goes to Man City. He wins 2 Premier Leagues. He wins 2 FA Cups. He wins the Champions League with them. He wins all those things. I still think I'm not. I mean, maybe after all of that, you might feel a little bit different. But again, he'll be doing it with a Man City team that is expected to do all those things. I think the Jamie Vardy story is
the big difference electric. As well is if Kane moves, who knows what's going to happen? But let's say next season he moves to Man City, right? For some reason they didn't let him go this year. They're going to let him go next year, and he does win it. Like, he's great, and it's a great achievement. And look, it's good for him because I think he's good enough that he probably deserves to win something. But Vardy will be a club legend. Is Kane going to be a Man City legend after a couple of years? It's not the same. Like, I'm sure he's very happy. I'm sure he's very rich and he's got huge goal records and stuff, but it's not the same. And we're just
comparing. Obviously, we're just comparing his career with Vardy's. And I guess the thing that would maybe tip the balance is if, we can win a World Cup or something, and he's captain of it. Then it's maybe a little bit different. He'd be a legend in my book. Then he wins. Then maybe then he's got it.
He was close this summer.
He was so close, of course. Right, here we go, guys. Who is the one FPL pick that Andy had to put into his team? Vardy, of course, you would buy him. You probably haven't got him. He's a bit overpriced this year, isn't he, Vardy?
Yeah. It's just he's just got in FPL. He's got the problem that there's also loads of other good forward picks. I mean, Trent was possibly a little bit of FPL in the back of my mind, but this one is full on FPL. I love the guy. So
give us your final pick. Complete this team. Go for it.
It's Michail Antonio. I loved it when you made a video on him recently.
Did you?
He's like a cult figure on my channel, right? There's if I say right now, if anyone's come over from my channel, if I say if he's fit, they know I'm talking about Antonio. If he's fit, he has to be in your team. I love the fact that he's gone from playing right back, right midfield, right wing to like now being one of the best strikers in the league, I would say. And I don't think that's controversial to say. I think he is.
No, it's not.
If you're a stats person, his like expected data, like, you know, I always look at like per 90 minutes and stuff. It's right up there with some of the elite players in the league. The problem he has, of course, is he's very injury prone. So he's never going to be like a Harry Kane playing like 25 plus matches a season. And so no one's ever going to give him maybe the credit of how good he is. But even back like 5 years ago, he was still playing right mid, right wing. And it was only until, I think I looked it up, it was 2016-17, he started playing a few games as a striker. And then it was 19-20. So it was only like 2 seasons ago that he was now a striker every single week. So the transition's been long. And now I think West Ham kind of thinking, well, why don't we figure this out a few years ago?
Yeah,
I know. Obviously,
well, I think they were caught up with shiny things. That's the problem that West Ham had for a long time. And then, fortunately, David Moyes came in. And he was like, "Well, who's functional? Souček is, Kufal is, Antonio is, like Declan Rice is." That's why West Ham are doing so well right now. And it is like, it's definitely a thing, you know. Sometimes players look so much better than they truly are, and you got to sometimes get yourself out of your own way to understand just how good someone is. And Antonio honestly is that good. I really think like he's got everything. His
all-round game is brilliant. Like, if you need him to run into the channels, he'll do it. If you need him to hold the ball up and let someone else run on, Bowen or whoever it might be, he can do it. He's good in front of goal. He can dribble. He can take it past someone. He's strong. He's fairly quick. I do, like, from an FPL perspective, anytime I see him like full on sprinting, I always do worry about his hamstrings. I say a little prayer for his hamstrings, but I think I mean that's a whole conversation to have about, you know, should longevity and being able to play week in, week out, should that be a plus to someone? Like, I think I saw someone talking about Neymar. I can't remember who they were comparing it to, but saying like Neymar, you know, season to season plays like 20 games in the league or whatever because he's picks up a few injuries. Like someone like Mo Salah, for example, he's available every single week, and so should that be a plus? Because if it is, it's definitely a mark against Antonio. But 2 years ago, I had him in my team before everyone else. 4 goals he scores versus Norwich, and that moment, he's on my wall of fame on my channel. And that is why.
Well, that's because I did want to ask that. It was like, you know, everyone's kind of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit, and certainly in FPL, everyone's got him in their team now. Are you a little bit kind of annoyed, like you feel like he's yours and others shouldn't be allowed him?
No. I think I want everyone else to experience the joy, but I do feel like I was one of the first. I'm not saying I was the first to recognize that he was a good option, but it's funny because with FPL, I think a lot of people like outside of the FPL world think that people that play it can't differentiate between a good FPL pick and a good player. So like for example, Marcus Alonso springs to mind. Like, no one's really going to call him a good defender, but in FPL he's brilliant, right? Because he goes forward. But I think also you do recognise these players earlier than a lot of people will. I think now people are starting to recognise how good Antonio is. I think if you played FPL, you probably noticed that a few seasons ago. And so sometimes playing the game actually, I think it does. I think it's expanded my knowledge throughout the league a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in your best interest. Right, so there we have it, guys. Glorious team. Well done. Congratulations, Andy. How do you feel? It's over now. It's over. It's okay. It's there for all to see forevermore. Are you happy with it? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think Mo Salah is someone I'd really like to get in because I feel like even now he's still a little bit underrated for just like how ridiculous he's been over the last 4 seasons. Like, he's been elite level every single year. Like I said, he's fully available all the time, virtually never injured. So I feel I'm not happy about not being able to fit him in. There's 3 picks. I think Roberto Carlos, I think, is a good pick. I just struggled with left backs. Actually, Cole probably should have maybe been in there. And Gerrard, I know, is controversial, but I just think he's everything you want in a player from your team. Like if you could get him in your team, you'd love him. And obviously Ramos is because I hate him, not because I love him. And I think you need those kind of players in your team.
I don't understand what that means. Okay, final question. I ask everyone this one. Who is your manager? Who would be your manager?
Yeah, I'm just going to go obvious here. It has to be Ferguson, doesn't it? It has to be. I mean,
Moisey?
I think if we always have these things like parallel universes. If he was managing now, could he still? Like you said at the start, could he still compete with Klopp? But like, you'd move on, wouldn't he? He would figure these things out. You can't hold it against him because he was a manager 20 years ago. Like he's the best the league's ever seen. I mean, Pep Guardiola is brilliant. Like I fully respect what he's done, and he'll probably go on to win loads and loads of things. I know people always throw the money thing about, but I mean, it's not like Man United didn't used to spend money as well, back in the day, and you've still got to manage that team. And just some of the teams he would put out, and you just think this team's never good. Like I remember that game we won 8-2 against Arsenal. If you look at the actual team, it wasn't fantastic, and somehow he went and got results for it. And best the league's ever seen by a mile, I think.
I think it's the art of war management a lot of the time, so I think he would have been absolutely fine.
He'd be great with the mind games against the likes of Klopp and Pep right now.
Exactly. I mean, that would make it a little bit more juicy. That's a bit disappointing with Klopp and Guardiola. They're just literally like snogging on the touchline. Exactly. All right, guys. Andy, thank you so much. Anyone who hasn't checked out Andy's channel, Andy's got a couple of channels now, actually. Do you want to give him a quick plug, mate?
Yeah, the football-wise, the FPL one's the one to go on. The other ones I don't necessarily upload on too much. So yeah, let's talk FPL. If you want a fantasy football every single day, that's the channel to come to.
It is the channel to go to, guys. It's absolutely fantastic. Andy, thank you so much, mate. Guys, go straight into the comments and let me know what you think about Andy's team. And also go and check out the other episodes. We've got some great episodes. Mark Goldbridge, Rory. Who else? We had Paul Machin recently. If you like your YouTubers, if you like your players, Neda Manua, Ben Foster, Emmanuel Petit. Got some crackers on there, so go and check them out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.